It's the year 2000. You turn on your TV, and there he is. Tiger Woods, Sunday red, locked in, the crowd's going wild. Another putt sinks, another fist pump, another trophy in his hands. But this isn't just another win. This is something different. This is the year golf changed forever. And it changed because of one man. Tiger turned professional in 1996, and everything changed the moment he stepped on tour. Within 8 starts, he had already notched 2 wins. That's not normal. That's not even close to normal. And sponsors knew it. Nike didn't hesitate. They dropped $40 million on him almost instantly. For a guy barely out of college, that kind of deal was unheard of. But they saw it. They knew he wasn't just a golfer. He was about to become the face of a movement. And within a year, that investment already looked like a steal. In 1997, Tiger crushed the Masters and became the #1 golfer in the world. That quickly, that young, that dominant. The world had never seen anything like it. By the time the new millennium rolled around, Tiger wasn't just a superstar. He was a global phenomenon. So as the year 2000 kicked off, all eyes were on him. Was he going to slow down? Was he going to fade? Or was he going to do something no one had ever seen before? He answered that question instantly. His first event of the year was the Mercedes Championships, and right out of the gate, he went toe-to-toe with Ernie Els, one of the best in the world. The match went into a playoff. The pressure was sky high, and guess what? Tiger came out on top. Cold, calm, clinical. It was a win that set the tone for the rest of the year. He walked away with $522,000 and a message to the rest of the tour. Good luck keeping up. Then came the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. This is where Tiger went from great to mythic. He was 7 shots back with only 7 holes to play. That's the kind of gap that makes most players give up. But Tiger wasn't like most players. He stayed in the zone, hole after hole, chasing down the leader like a machine. And when it was all said and done, he'd won by 2, just like that. One of the greatest comebacks in golf history, delivered without panic, without excuses, without even breaking stride. Another $720,000 in his pocket, and another statement made. At the Bay Hill Invitational, he didn't need a comeback. He just dominated from start to finish. Finished 18 under par and won by 4 strokes. That's when people really started realizing something different was happening. It wasn't just that Tiger was winning, it was the way he was winning. He was making world-class athletes look like amateurs. Guys who had been grinding for decades suddenly looked out of place next to this 24-year-old wrecking machine. But even Tiger had days that weren't picture perfect. At the Players' Championship, he finished 2nd. For anyone else, that's a career highlight. For Tiger, people were asking what went wrong. That's the level he was operating on. The standard he set was so high, anything less than a win felt like a collapse, even though he still took home $264,000. As spring turned into summer, the golf world held its breath. Was he peaking too soon? Was the hot streak running out? Golf is brutal. It wears on players. One bad round, one missed putt, and the momentum can be gone. Tiger had a few events where he didn't win, some second-place finishes, a couple top 5s. For most guys, that's an incredible stretch. For Tiger, it was a moment of pause, but it didn't last long. At the Memorial Tournament, hosted by the legendary Jack Nicklaus, Tiger delivered one of his most dominant performances yet. He tied the tournament record at 19 under par and won by 5 strokes. That's where Jack looked straight into the camera and said, "He's better than I was." Think about that. Jack Nicklaus, the guy with 18 majors, saying he's witnessing someone better. That's not hype. That's legacy-level praise. By the halfway mark of the year, Tiger had 5 wins in 10 starts. 5 wins in 10. Let that sink in. Most pros never win 5 tournaments in their entire career. Tiger did it in 6 months. But it wasn't just the wins, it was the stats behind them. Out of 36 rounds of golf, Tiger was over par just once. He shot 65 or better 10 times. These were video game numbers. This wasn't just dominance. This was something we'd never seen before. And then came Pebble Beach again. But this time, it wasn't the Pro-Am. It was the US Open. Tiger steps onto the first tee and opens the tournament with a 65, 6 shots clear after day 1. And he just kept going, day after day, round after round. When the dust settled, Tiger Woods had won the US Open by 15 shots. That number still doesn't sound real, 15. That wasn't just the largest margin of victory in US Open history. It was one of the most lopsided wins in the history of the sport, period. And what made it even crazier, Tiger was the only player in the entire field to finish under par. Everyone else got chewed up by the course. Tiger made it look like a casual Sunday round. Next came the Open Championship, St. Andrews, the home of golf, a course known for its brutal layout and its infamous bunkers. There are 112 of them. They ruin rounds. They end tournaments. Tiger, he avoided every single one. 4 rounds, not one bunker. That's not just skill, that's total control. He finished at 19 under par, won by 8 strokes, and in doing so became the youngest golfer in history to complete the career Grand Slam. Every major, won, all by the age of 24. By now, Tiger wasn't just the best golfer on the planet. He was something bigger, something more unstoppable. The season had already been won for the ages, but it wasn't over, because the PGA Championship was still waiting. And that's where things got even crazier. The PGA Championship at Valhalla was next, and this one wasn't a walk in the park. This time, Tiger didn't cruise to victory with a 10-shot lead. This was different. This one had drama. This one had a fight, because standing in his way was Bob May, a name that, on paper, didn't scare anyone. He wasn't a superstar, he wasn't a rival, he was a journeyman. But for 72 holes, Bob May matched Tiger shot for shot. He didn't back down. He didn't blink, and by the time the final putt dropped in regulation, they were tied. Most of the crowd was expecting Tiger to run away with it, but May had different plans. It was a back-and-forth battle that went to a 3-hole playoff, and in that playoff, Tiger delivered one of the most iconic moments of his career. That putt, that walk-in, that point, that look in his eyes like he just flipped a switch. The crowd exploded, and with it, Tiger grabbed another major, another title, another slice of history. At this point, Tiger wasn't just having a good season. He was having the most dominant season in the modern history of the sport. But what people don't realize is how deep the consistency ran. It wasn't just about winning. It was about showing up week after week and being a threat every single time. From January to September, Tiger racked up 17 top 5 finishes in 20 starts. That's not even fair. 17 times out of 20, he was in contention on Sunday. That's a level of performance that most athletes in any sport would kill for. And 9 of those wins. 9 wins in a single season. That's a 45% win rate. Think about that. Nearly half the time Tiger teed it up, he walked off with the trophy. Not just a paycheck, not a decent finish. He won. That kind of dominance hadn't been seen since Ben Hogan's legendary season back in 1953. But the game was different now. The fields were deeper, the courses tougher, the spotlight brighter, and Tiger still did it better. And then you get to the money. Because for all the wins, there's the payout. In prize money alone, Tiger earned $10.7 million in 2000. Just let that sit for a second. That's 25 years ago, when tournament purses weren't anything close to what they are now. If you adjust that total to today's numbers, that's roughly $92 million just from tournaments. Not endorsements, not appearance fees, not bonuses, straight up winnings. For comparison, in 2024, Scottie Scheffler had a ridiculous season and pulled in $50 million. If Tiger played his 2000 season in this era, he nearly doubles that. It wasn't just dominance, it was financial domination. And yet, the stats and the checks don't even begin to tell the whole story. Because what Tiger really did in 2000 wasn't just stack trophies. He moved the entire sport forward. He made golf bigger. He made it more mainstream. Ratings went up. Ticket sales spiked. Whenever he was in the field, crowds doubled. Whenever he wasn't, viewership dropped. That's power. That's star power on a level golf had never seen before. The final round of the US Open that year, it saw a 38% jump in TV ratings compared to the previous year. One man caused that. One man drove that kind of engagement. And it wasn't just the TV numbers. It was the fans, the merchandise, the energy. Suddenly, golf wasn't a game for retirees and businessmen. It was cool. Young people were picking up clubs in record numbers. Between 1997 and 2000, youth participation in golf rose by 133%. That's not a trend. That's a revolution. Sponsors knew what they had. Nike had already signed him, but they weren't done. In 2000, they locked in a new deal with Tiger worth $105 million over 5 years. That was the largest endorsement contract in the history of sports at the time. And they weren't the only ones. American Express, Buick, Titleist, Rolex, EA Sports. Everyone wanted a piece of the Tiger Woods machine. By the end of that year, his total earnings hit $65 million. Let that sink in. A golfer, not a quarterback, not a basketball player, a golfer, leading all athletes across every sport in earnings. Tiger wasn't just cashing checks. respects. He was setting the bar for what athletes could be worth. But Tiger's influence didn't stop with the fans or the brands. It hit his competition too, because the guys on tour started to realize if they wanted to keep up with Tiger, they had to change. The gym became just as important as the driving range. Players who once laughed at weightlifting were suddenly benching and deadlifting. They saw Tiger's physique and knew they couldn't coast on skill alone anymore. The era of beer bellies and khakis was over. This was now a sport of athletes. Strong, fast, flexible, focused, and Tiger led the way. Even the courses started changing. Places like Augusta National began adding distance and tweaking layouts just to try and contain him. They called it Tiger proofing. That's not a myth. That's a real thing that actually happened. They literally adjusted the game to slow him down. Imagine a basketball league raising the rim just because one guy kept dunking too easily. That's the kind of dominance we're talking about here. Tiger Woods forced the entire sport to evolve just to try and keep pace. And then there was the cultural impact. The Tiger Woods PGA Tour video game series exploded. Kids who never touched a club in real life were now hooked on golf because of him. Equipment sales skyrocketed. Nike's golf division alone brought in over $600 million in revenue thanks to Tiger's name. Golf courses around the country started getting younger, more diverse, more energized. The ripple effect wasn't just strong, it was everywhere. But maybe the most underrated impact? The mental pressure. Studies have shown that golfers actually performed worse when paired with Tiger in a tournament. One full stroke worse, on average. That's wild. Just standing next to him was enough to mess with people's games. That's the kind of psychological weight he brought with him. Tiger didn't just beat you with his swing, he beat you before you even teed off. That's what greatness does. It creates doubt in others. It controls the atmosphere. And Tiger was the master of that energy. Everything about the sport was different by the end of that year. The money was bigger, the fan base was younger, the pros were fitter, the coverage was louder, and at the center of it all was Tiger Woods. In just one season, he went from the biggest name in golf to arguably the most dominant athlete in the world. The stats said it, the trophies proved it, but more than anything, the feeling around the sport said it. When Tiger played, it felt different, bigger, brighter, louder. Golf was no longer background noise. It was front page news. Every week, every swing, every finish, the world was watching. And Tiger delivered. And the craziest part? He still had more history to make. As the year 2000 began to wind down, most athletes would have been thinking about rest, about taking a breather, about reflecting on a job well done. But Tiger Woods wasn't most athletes. Instead of easing up, he hit the gas. He finished the season with a streak that didn't just cap off the greatest golf season of all time, it stretched it even further. In his final 10 events of the year, Tiger placed inside the top 3 every single time. 10 events, all top 3s. He wasn't cooling off, he was building something. He wasn't just trying to finish strong, he was making it crystal clear there would be no debate, no question, no asterisk. This was dominance, extended and perfected. Statistically, the numbers still feel fake even today. 20 starts, 17 top 5s, 9 wins, 4 second-place finishes, a scoring average of 67.7 across an entire season. That number, on its own, sounds almost made up. A 67.7 average? That's like shooting under par in your sleep. And Tiger wasn't doing this against amateurs. He was doing it against the very best players in the world, week after week, and making them look ordinary. But Tiger didn't care about ordinary. He was chasing greatness. He was building a legacy. And by the end of that year, legacy wasn't even the right word. It was something beyond that. What's wild is that even as he racked up wins and prize money, the real story was what was happening around him. Tournament organizers couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Ratings had never been higher. Crowds had never been bigger. Tiger had become the single most bankable attraction in the entire sport. Entire tournaments were being built around his presence. People didn't just want to watch golf, they wanted to watch Tiger Woods play golf. And if he wasn't in the field, interest dipped. Ticket sales dropped. TV viewership flatlined. That's the kind of gravity he had. One man pulling the whole sport forward just by existing. Off the course, the Tiger effect was even more powerful. His rise wasn't just changing golf, it was redefining what golf looked like. He wasn't just the first black golfer to dominate at this level, he was the first player, period, to bring this kind of mainstream energy to the game. He broke down walls, made golf more accessible, more diverse, more appealing to a younger audience. Kids who had never touched a club before were suddenly begging their parents for lessons. Driving ranges were packed. golf gear started flying off shelves. Public courses saw a spike in new memberships. For decades, golf had been seen as an elite, slow-moving game for retirees and country club regulars. Tiger came along and flipped that image on its head, and the ripple effects kept spreading. His impact touched everything. Video games exploded. The Tiger Woods PGA Tour franchise became one of the best-selling sports games on the planet. Young players began modeling their swings after him. Pros started overhauling their fitness to look more like him. Golf courses added yardage and redesigned layouts just to try and slow him down. That wasn't evolution. That was desperation. They weren't adjusting for the field. They were adjusting for one man, because one man had made it necessary. That level of influence? It's unheard of, and that year made it permanent. His rivals felt it too. The intimidation factor was real, not imagined, not exaggerated, real. A study later revealed that players actually scored worse, by almost a full stroke, just by being paired with Tiger in a round. That wasn't coincidence, that was pressure, mental warfare. Just seeing his name on the pairing sheet could throw off a player's entire rhythm. The red shirt, the walk, the stare, the way he carried himself. He didn't need to say a word. He walked onto the course and the tone shifted. Everyone felt it. And then there was the money. At the time, Tiger's $10.7 million in earnings was jaw-dropping. But when you added in the endorsements, the sponsorships, and the off-course business deals, it became something else. His total income for the year hit $65 million, more than any other athlete in any other sport. Think about that. In 2000, a golfer was the most financially successful athlete on the planet. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when you take over a sport from the inside out. When you're not just winning, you're transforming the game entirely. And the sport itself benefited just as much. That same year, tournament purses across the PGA Tour ballooned by $30 million. Not because the economy shifted, not because of inflation, because of Tiger. His presence meant more eyes, more tickets, more sponsors. And more sponsors meant more money for everyone. Players who never sniffed a major win were now cashing bigger checks simply because they were part of a Tiger Woods tournament. That's legacy. That's influence you can measure in actual dollars and cents. By the end of 2000, the world was no longer asking if Tiger Woods was the best golfer in the world. That was already settled. Now the question was much bigger. Is this the greatest season in the history of sports? Not just golf, sports, period. That's the conversation he forced people to have. And to this day, it's still hard to argue against it. The wins, the consistency, the impact, the way he pulled fans in, reshaped the field, rewired the industry, and inspired an entire generation, all in 12 months. It wasn't just a run, it was a cultural shift. The kind you rarely see, and even more rarely see done by just one person. And maybe the craziest part of all, Tiger was just 24. He had so much more to give, so many more tournaments to play, so many more Sundays to dominate. But in this one year, in this one perfect, blistering, impossible year, he gave us something that still stands as the gold standard, a blueprint, a moment in time where everything came together, and one man soared higher than anyone thought possible. Prime Tiger wasn't a phase. He wasn't a highlight reel. He was the main event, and the year 2000 was his masterpiece. Because golf before Tiger Woods, that was tradition. But golf after 2000, that was revolution.